Hello and welcome to Neverwinter Night's Hordes of the Underdark, and this will be part 28. In the previous part we had to get a hand in order to progress, and we were dealing with some quite obnoxious puzzles, but we will start on this part by having a little chat with Arabeth. She's still on a trip about all the bad stuff she did in Neverwinter, which we don't know about, apparently. Yeah. As I've mentioned before, this expansion is a continuation of Shadows of Underdark, and it more or less completely ignores the existence of the original campaign, which means that any knowledge you have of what's happened in the original campaign is not being brought up. You get the very short version of all the bad things I'm doing, and we're just going to talk through everything just to make sure that anything that can improve our standing with the NPC will be done. And of course, because of the fact that it is a continuation of Shadows of Underdark, our character, who was the one turning her back and defeating her, speaks to Arabeth like he has absolutely no knowledge of what's been going on, which I think is a bit of an oversight. It makes it for a very, very jarring experience to speak to her at times, because you don't know who I am. No, I fell in love with you. Randomly. Whatever. You don't know how powerful I am. No, I beat you senseless. I don't know. You know, that kind of stuff. It just... But I would probably pay too much attention to these kind of things. And then we talk about what's in store for after this adventure is done, and we see has finally been given something to think about, apparently, because she's been trapped in hell for an undefinable amount of time. So we'll work out, I suppose,
I'm sorry, but I couldn't help but see the look of
how
shock
things
on your
will
face.
turn out. So, that was the dialogue we missed at the entrance to when the treasure gimmick, I was about to say, mimic, in previous part, nicked our clothing. So, I did not want to fight more of these guys, but they will be aggroed, or I'm sure Arabeth aggroed them, so we will have to fight them. At this point in the game, I have to admit, the fighting is becoming rather tedious. But of course, that doesn't prevent us from having to do a handful of fights. And I will be taking one fight later on, which can technically be avoided, I think it's called. Just out of principle, nothing else. Do you know how expensive those heal potions are, Roberto? They're costing me a fortune.
Once again, you have summoned me, mortal. What is it you need? Of course.
Well, we need to trade. Oh, we need some vendor stuff. I'm just I will just be cutting the bedring out unless there's some unique, super smart, funky item to be had. But there's another tool to punch in the face. Hooray! Well, I did find that, despite the fact that our magical resistance is quite high on this character, there's a surprising amount of enemies that can actually bypass it. So level difference and caster, what they called, yeah, you know, those things, that does things, and yeah. The why have I forgotten what they're called? The thing is, you pick every 3, 4, 10 levels, whatever class you're playing. Anyway, you can stack the spell penetration, which of course will counteract magic resistance or spell resistance. I keep calling it magic resistance. I've just been so used to that phrase because it used to be called magic resistance, and now it's spell resistance. So anyway, we bump into this little room where we meet a bunch of nice people. Half of them which I have never met before because I haven't played through Shadows of Underdark. But basically, this is the evil cast of Neverwinter Nights that's decided to party up and prevent us from progressing unless we join them, and that's not really an option. So we have a few known faces, and in my case, some not so known faces. Grimnor, the monk from the original campaign, is the spokesperson for the group. We have a Tauren with a huge weapon and a few casters, so we basically have a full party of opposing adventurers. What makes this fight incredibly difficult, I suppose, is a proper term for it, is that depending on what class you are playing, you want to get rid of certain enemies very, very quickly. In our case, we want to get rid of Mr. Minotaur because he can actually hit for about 90 damage per crit, which is definitely not particularly beneficial. And of course, when he goes over and tries to put your arrows, whom I'm trying to keep alive even, it becomes extremely obnoxious. Of course, we have a rogue that backstabs left, right, and center, and then we have the spellcasters casting all sorts of wonderful one-shot mechanic spells and time stop. And yeah, it's just a question of getting them down. Mr. Minotaur, I want him down ASAP, and then we can start working on the others. The casters are lovely because they have damage shields and they would like to put them up, and when you're punching 17 times per minute, then that's not actually accurate because it's 7 attacks per round per turn, and 1 round is 10 turns. Yeah, so that would be something like 70 attacks per minute. Punching someone with a damage shield in that regard is rather dangerous. But anyway, we flattened Mr. Big Hit, and just to get rid of Mr. Melee, I want to get rid of the monk. I am the only monk allowed here. Of course, he's got all the funky abilities the monks has, and apparently I decided to go with the caster. I was very sure I want to flatten Mr. Monk, but I mean, he's probably the lowest threat present, in all honesty. I know it sounds perhaps a bit rude considering the fact that I'm playing a monk myself, but the monk as a class is, if you were to use MMO terms, definitely sustained DPS, but it doesn't really burst much, and it doesn't, outside of quivering palm, which is very, very doubtful. It doesn't really have anything that can take down enemies very, very quickly. But if the monk is allowed to just hang around and punch people in the face, it will do an awful lot of damage over a certain amount of time. And in that regard, they got a high damage sustain. So basically, even though he is quite high level and quite powerful, he is definitely not a bigger threat than any of the casters. In the level up, lovely. Of course, the fact that he's a monk makes him very, very hard to hit. Because, of course, natural armor class and equipment armor class and all that kind of crap. Which, because playing a monk, also we know exactly how high an armor class a monk can get with no armor. It's a bit obscene. I suppose that is what martial arts powers will do. Don't necessarily think I would want to try and deflect a two-handed axe with my fists, but it is fantasy. Bear that in mind. This fight is definitely going the distance, and I'm fairly sure I reloaded 7 or 8 times because Mr. Minotaur just butchered me. Absolutely butchered me with his triple crits and bye-bye monk. And not particularly fun. But the thing about casters, it might take a while to do it, but they will eventually run out of spells, and once they run out of spells, they are basically just hunchbacks. But the monk is down, so we need to heal a lot in order to take this enemy down, because of course the damage shield thing, this is rather annoying. Some of the names are definitely not known to me, because as I've said, I have not completed. The Shadows of Underdark. I assume that some of these individuals are bad guys from that game. Which of course is a semi-spoiler, because I haven't played that game yet. And I don't know if I'm going to. I played at the beginning of it and I didn't find it particularly enjoyable. But anyway, we got a rogue. And yeah, a rogue-ish character. And in a fair fight, a rogue is irrelevant. Completely and utterly irrelevant. In a stand-up fight, I should say. So, of course, we have quite a bit of looting to do as well, because they have loots, and there's a few remotely interesting items, but I will edit most of it out. Again, the level, we will be level 27, and spoiler, this is the level I reached first time I completed this game. I expect likely to perhaps reach another level, maybe 2, before we're done with this game. It recommends improved key strike +4. What could we potentially want? You know what, let's just go with it. Then we can hit anything that's requiring +4 weapons or more. Or, not more. Less, I think it's gone. It's just, you know, there won't be a lot of enemies which are requiring that kind of plus affixes or plus magical thing in order to take damage. But if you bump into them and you are fist fight and you have just got a random plus 17 sort of magic modifier negator on you, then it becomes a bit of pain. So, sped up. Sorry, I didn't edit it out. I sped it up, kept it in. It's been a while since I recorded this. Some funky items, but of course you can't use half of them. That is the downside to playing a monk. You don't get to use half the spiffy items that you find. But I would just claim that is a small price to pay for the power of the class. I've always been a fan of classes like the monk, because it seems like, I mean, it runs around in a robe, unarmed, and it's just, oh well, it's just an individual on a robe, and then they get into a fight, and then they flatten anyone that challenges them, even knights in heavy armor. There's something endearing about that concept, for me at least. Some people might want big bulky warriors with big bulky weapons and tons of armor. That's cool too. But personally, I just like that subtlety of having something that seems to be harmless, turning out to be quite not so harmless if you challenge it. Just like in the previous part, I do want to make mention and apologize if my commentary is a bit inconsistent with the action going on. It's been a while since I've recorded this, and I could have watched through the entire episodes to make absolutely sure I knew what was happening, but I will just improvise as I go. I hope you don't mind so much. Anyway, transfer some stuff. Shield. Her armor class is 20 lower than ours, and we are not using any armor. Intriguing. The cost is definitely her armor. So she will happily equip another piece of armor. Okay, that's my bad. You can't remove armor from the character. So you are not allowed to run around in her male item thing. Which we don't want to anyway, of course, being a monk, but sorted. More stuff, loot. Yeah. Have some more crap. Time to take a little nap and get spells back and abilities back and all that kind of stuff. At this point, of course, I mean, you get one use of Stunning Fist per level up, and as you may be able to see, we have 27 charges of Stunning Fist, which we'll never use. Enemies resist it too often. But of course, I mean, if you have a dangerous caster and you get a bit of luck, you can stun them, which makes them significantly easier to punch to the ground. And then from there, beat them while they're down. When they're lying on the ground, they won't cast any spells.
What is it?
I do like that comment. I've been wondering why I don't try to run away from myself when I turn undead. Because he is a spirit, of course. Oh, castle. Forgot that. Unidentified armor. It's a rope, but it's a caster, so it's not likely to be something of use to us, but curious. Of course. Rope of leathers. That sounds odd. Interesting. So basically, it is a piece of leather armor shaped as a rope. Intriguing. It's always money, and we'll still need money. Mentioned that briefly on the previous part. We'll need quite a bit of money, potentially quite a bit of money. Depends on what we decide to do. But we have this little thing we need to get past. And lo and behold, there's a lever kind of thing that we need to pull, and some tracks. So we will need to make use of our shape-shifting ability to shapeshift into something that can get through a tiny little hole. I wonder what that would be. By the way, we are carrying 146 pounds of weight at the moment, and we are just going to be turning into something quite small that is not capable of carrying that kind of weight. It's a hole at the floor level, but yes, we need to change into pixie shape. And of course, you can't punch your way through these boxes because they're magically guarded. So basically, solve the puzzle or get stuck. So, yeah, not exactly the most challenging puzzle, but I was thinking whether those rats will have some sort of influence on my ability to get through there. I have forgotten how to solve this. And then it dawned on me that pixie individual is quite small. And not strong. So I actually have to click the thingy. Fly through, hooray! Cancel the polymorph. Check the Soul Drinker, lovely name for weapon. Level drain. Exotic weapon, so not something you're likely to necessarily be proficient with. But we pull the lever and statues go boom bang. Yeah. It would have been nice if they just went in one go, but I suppose after all the effort to go and pull the lever, you need the dramatic effect. So of course, because we need to get out, we now need to switch back to pixie form. And then go through the gap. When it comes to this game, there's certain classes I would absolutely love to play through the game. But at the same time, certain of those classes only will start to shine at around level 24, 25, which means that basically they are going to be okay, but not epic, before you reach the part where you are just about done with the game, and I feel that's too much effort for very little effective use of the classes. Something like a weapon master.
I see our next victim.
So, more bad guys who think they are tough. We need to get through this area, which is another semi-puzzle kind of thing, where we need to travel from platform to platform. And depending on what way certain arrows are pointing, we will go in a certain direction. And that is something that will be rather obnoxious and annoying, but it will not be put in this part. I will just clear out this area in this part, and then whenever we come back, which won't take as long as it's taken this time around, we will go and view this area. And it's not complicated, it's just obnoxious, and that is the general theme of the later game in this expansion. And I have to admit, as much as I enjoy the earlier parts of the expansion, I actually have a distinct dislike for the remaining parts of it, which is a bit of a shame, but it's just As I mentioned in the previous part, it really feels like the designers just said, we need to extend the gameplay time of this stuff. Let's throw in some random crap that doesn't make any sense, but slows the player down for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever hours, days, weeks, months. Stone to stone, the stone turns, lightning to lightning, the lightning fades. That is a hint as to what we need to do in order to progress into the next area. And that is something about using the platforms you can see in the middle of the lava. Jump to them, find the right place to end up, and then activate certain things. And yeah,
I can do that.
not particularly complicated, but it is something that needs to be done. Let's just open chest, shall we? Hardly. But we are reaching the end of this part, and when we come back, we will solve this little annoying puzzle thing. And I will say thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.